Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am May Piapyag, one of the presenter, and today I will gonna tackle about the poem "Telephone Conversation" by Wole Soyinka. This one. So first, let's dive into its historical context. So this one was written in 1963 during the period when many African students moved to Europe. And then during this time also, discrimination and racism was quite rampant. And that's why this poem is about how immigrants were judged by skin tone rather than their character and status and life. So that is its quick historical context. Now, let's proceed to its literary context. So, in literary context, it was written during the post-colonial literature. So, if we say post-colonial literatures, so the authors in these times were formerly colonized nations. So, their themes are more on cultural and political independence, identity, racism, and legacy of colonial power. So, it's all about that. Then, again, it was written by, so this is the complete name of the author. His name is Akinwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka. He was born on July 13, 1934 in Nigeria, and he is a Nigerian author best known as a playwright and a poet. Yeah. Aside from that, he has written 3 novels, 10 collections of short stories, 7 poetry collections, and 25 plays, and etc. So she's quite brilliant kind of person. And then, in this poem, it involves in social criticism. So it used satire to expose racial prejudice. So if you say satire, it's kind of humorous and exaggerated. Yeah, this kind of poem, you will see it through the discussion, okay? Then, moreover, it highlights the absurdity of judging people by color. So, now that you already know its historical context and literary context, and now that you already know its historical context and literary context, now let's dive into the poem itself. So, let's read and understand it line by line. Yeah, okay? So, first, here in lines 1 to 5, so I'm gonna read it. So, the price seemed reasonable, location indifferent. The landlady swore she lived off premises. Nothing remained but self-confession. Madam, I warned, I hate a wasted journey. I am African. So what this lines means, line 1 to 5 mean. So it means that the speaker described the apartment, good price, decent location, and the landlady does not live in the building. So that was the speaker wanted to convey to the landlady. He wanted to be a good price, decent location, and the landlady doesn't live there. However, the only issue is he must reveal that he is an African. So he won't waste time traveling only to face rejection. So, in the poem, there are hard words. So, in our PPT, I included some vocabulary. So, here are some of the vocabulary or the words that describe what the poem really is. So, the first one, we have the word indifferent. So, from the word itself, indifferent, it suggests that the location isn't good or bad. So, that's what it meant in the story. Next is, if we say premises, it means the property or the building. Oh, she claimed she doesn't live there. Okay. Next is, if we say self-confession, it means he jokingly calls being African a confession. So in the time when in the part when the speaker said he is an African, so it shows that he is doing self-confession. Okay, do you get me? Okay, next, let's proceed to line 6 to 9. Here, silence, silent transmission of pressurized good breathing, voice when it came, lipstick coated, long gold ruled cigarette holder piped. So what does it mean? So it means that the landlady goes silent, struggling between her racism and her polite manners. So when the landlady hears that the speaker was African, his tone of voice changes. Yeah, and his struggle and how could she interact with such different skin tone as her. So when she finally speak, her voice sound artificial. And if she belongs to the upper class. So when he heard that the speaker was African, yeah, her voice changes. She sound polite. However, you can really hear in his voice that there's something. Okay, there's something fishy like that. So here's the hard words that you can see in the poem. So what does transmission mean in the poem? So it means the flow of the phone call. Yeah, the silence feels heavy. When the landlady hear that the speaker was a African, so pressurized. So when the landlady heard that the speaker was African, she was pressure of how will she what they call it how will she gonna interact with the speaker. Her politeness is strained under the pressure of prejudice. Yeah. Next is the word this phrase, gold rolled cigarette holder. So it symbolized upper class, snobbery, and pretentious refinement. So that line in the poem, it described how quite entitled the landlady is because she is white. Yeah, he see that herself is much more upper than the speaker that is an African. Next, pip. So what is pip? So in the poem, pip means describe a small, sharp sound, a clipped tone, showing her stiff manner. If you say stiff, must it became refined. Refined or fierce, like that. Now let's proceed to lines 9 to 11. Here, caught I was fully, how dark I had not misheard. Are you light or very dark? Bottom B, bottom A. So what does it mean? So then the landlady suddenly asked a racist question. How dark his skin is. The speaker is shocked. Her question feels mechanical, as if choosing between two buttons. So when the landlady heard that the speaker was an African, so he asked how dark his skin is, and he compared it to like a bottom B or bottom B, just a mechanical one. So what does the bottom B and bottom A refers to? So it refers to an old phone box buttons, symbolize how she reduced race to a simple option. Yeah, he compared the skin tone of a person to a simple option. How ridiculous, right? Now let's proceed to line 11 to 14. Stitched of raised breath of public, hide and speak. Red booth, red pillar box, red double-tied, omnibus, scorching tar. It was real. So what does it mean? So it means the speaker feels the ugliness of stitched. So if it's stitched, it's in dictionary it means very unpleasant. Yeah, very unpleasant smell. Oh, there's something fishy when the speaker heard how the landlady convey its message to him. Yeah, ugliness of racism hiding beneath polite words. He observes the London surrounding, realizing this racist moment is actually happening. Okay, so what does the hide and speak mean? So it play on a hide and seek, prejudice hiding under the polite speech. So it seems like the polite words of this landlady, there's something hiding behind it. Okay, next we have the pillar box. So it means the red British mailbox set the location. Next we have the word next we have the double-tied omnibus. So if you see double-tied omnibus, you have seen this is like a two-layered. Next is the double-tied omnibus. So it means a double-deck bus. Yeah. Next we have squelching. It means that it is wet and sticky sound. Yeah, there is something fishy in there. So add realism and discomfort in the conversation. Okay. Next we have lines 14 to 18. So shamed by ill-mannered silence, surrender pushed dumbfounded to beg simplification. Considerate she was varying the emphasis. Are you dark or very light? So what does it mean? He feels embarrassed and pressured into asking her to repeat the rude question. Yeah, even though the speaker felt quite embarrassed, he still asked to repeat the question if it's really real. So she pretends to be polite while still asking the same racist question. So if you say dumbfounded, it means shock into silence. Like that. Okay. Next, let's have lines 18 to 23. Revelation came. You mean like plain or milk chocolate? Her accent was clinical, crushing in its light, impersonality, rapidly wavelength adjusted. I chose West Africa sepia, and as afterthought, down in my passport. So what does it mean? Okay, so what does it mean? He realized she only wants color comparison. He mocks her narrow thinking by comparing skin tone to chocolate and by giving a technical color name. Her response is cold and detached. So the speaker realized that the speaker realized why the landladies say that if her skin is dark or light, it just shows that the lady is quite racist about the skin tone of the person. So next we have what does the impersonality mean? So impersonality mean her tone has no human warmth. Yeah, when the landlady speak ask such question, it feels very unhuman because it's quite arrogant and asking if a person is dark or white, right? So yeah, next we have the wavelength. So he adjusts his tone to match her emotionless manner. So that's what it means. Next is sepia. So it means a brown tone like old photograph. So the speaker compared her skin tone to an African sepia. Next, let's proceed to line 23 to 26. Silence for spectroscopic flight of fancy, till truthfulness clanged her accent hard on the mouthpiece. What's that? Considering don't know what that is. So what does it mean? She pauses, imagining the color scientifically, then shows her ignorance by asking what sepia means. Sepia means. So when the landlady hear the response of the speaker, he asks, what does it mean? Yeah, simple as that. So what does spectroscopic mean? So it means like scientifically analyzing colors. She tries to classify him if she's that dark or little bit white, just like that. Next is mouthpiece. So the mouthpiece in the poem, it represents the part of a phone where her heart's voice comes through. Next, let's proceed to lines 26 to 30. Like brunette, that's dark, isn't it? Not altogether. Facially, I am brunette. But, madam, you should see the rest of me. Palm of my hand, sole of my feet are peroxide blonde. So what does it mean? So it means he say his face is like a brunette. If you say brunette, it's dark shade. But jokes that his palm and soles are very, very light. So what does peroxide blonde mean? So if you say peroxide blonde, it means hair bleach very light, used to mark the idea of choosing one single skin color. So if you want to visualize what is peroxide blonde, as do you know Ariana Grande in the movie Wicked, his hair is blonde. So that is the color of peroxide blonde. So the speaker described herself that his palm and sole of her feet were peroxide blonde. Next, line 30 to 35. Friction caused foolishly, madam, by sitting down, has torn my bottom raven black. One moment, madam, sensing her receiver hearing on the thunderclap. About my ears, madam, I pleaded, wouldn't you rather see for yourself? So, in this part, it means he continues exaggerating to expose the ridiculousness of her question. So, the speaker is quite witty and clever. Instead of taking the question personally, he turned it into something ridiculous or humorous. So at the first part, it seems like the speaker was humiliated, but at the end of the poem, it shows that cleverness always wins. Yeah. She turned the conversation into at the end part. The lady seems humiliated somehow, but because of the answer of the speaker. Okay, the speaker says that his backside is raven black. If you say raven black, it's quite dark. Hung up and desperately but sarcastically, as if she wants to see in person. So when the speakers say if the landlady wants to see in person, it feels the landlady put the end up the call. So what does the raven black? So like I said a while ago, it means extremely dark. Yeah, it's extremely dark or black. And what does the thunderclap mean? So the thunderclap in the story, it means sudden loud reaction, symbolizing her shock and angry. So that's why he put down the phone or end up the conversation. So that is all about the poem. Now let's proceed to the main theme. So the main theme of the poem is racism and the complexity of identity. So the poem shows how racism reduces a person to the color of their skin, ignoring the deeper complexity of who they are. So in the poem, the landlady narrow view contrasts with the speaker witty responses. So which highlights that identity cannot be simplified to light or dark. So through this, the poem reveals how racism and ignorant and dehumanizing, while real human identity is rich and multifaceted. So in the poem, it shows that skin tone or skin color doesn't define who you are. Yeah, so that is what the essence of the poem all about. And in the poem, it really shows how racism really affect the view of the people and how they interact with others, just like what the landlady do. Now let's proceed to the symbols. So let's have a quick run through for this. So in the poem, you can see you can read the cigarette holder. So what does it mean? It symbolized wealth, privilege, and the landlady upper class superiority. So when the landlady hears that the speaker was dark or an African, he feel much more superior because she is white. So she because of his narrow view of the skin tone of people. Okay, next we have the peroxide blonde. So we have talked about this a while ago. So it symbolized whiteness and artificial beauty. If you say artificial beauty, beauty that is the beauty that will never long last. Okay, and it symbolized skin color. It's complicated, not just dark or light. Next we have the raven black. So raven black symbolized darkness with it symbolized dark color, an extremely black color. Next we have the red booth, red pillar box, and red bus. So what does it mean? So it did symbolize British environment because in the poem the speaker was in the telephone booth, which is a color red, and it show, yeah, that red booth and red pillar box and red bus, it gave imagery, so where the place does the speaker is. So yeah, so that is the first four symbols you can see. Next, let's have the bottom B and the bottom A. So it simplifies, it symbolizes simple-minded, binary thinking about skin color. So it also represents lack of choice for the speaker. So in the poem, it symbolizes, yeah, the skin color, yeah, the simplification of the being dark or being light. So that is the bottom B and bottom A used in the poem. Next, let's have the poetic devices. So here we have the word enjambment. So if we say, now let's proceed to the poetic devices. So here are some poetic devices you can see in the poem. We have enjambment. So if we say enjambment, it's like continuation of a sentence. So if you will search the poem and Google or other site, you will see that it doesn't cut by stanza. Yeah, it's like a continuous way. The lines are continuous. Unlike to what I presented in the PPT, because I divided lines by lines. So it used enjambment, so lines flow into each other, showing anxiety and tension of the speaker. So even, yeah, that's what it meant. What is used? Next, we have the end stop lines. So it used for emphasis when the speaker feels confident or firm. So if we say end stop lines, it uses punctuation mark, period, comma, and semicolon to complete the thought. Okay. So yeah, it uses. Next is we have the irony. So calling his race a confession marks society racism. So if we say irony, the meaning itself is opposite from what is expected. For example, katong bottom B and bottom A, bottom B and bottom A. So in literal meanings, it means a button, but in the poem, it means choices of two color shades, dark and light. So that is an example of it. Next, we have the satire. So if we say satire, it uses ridiculous, humorous, and exaggerated term, and you can really see such many exaggerated terms in the poem. Next, imagery. So just like I said ago, the red booth, peroxide blonde, the red booth, and some and others, they give imagery. Yeah, if you say imagery, visualization of image in the poem. It makes the conversation more vivid. Next is the tone. So the tone of the poem is sarcastic, humorous, mocking, and frustrated. Next, let's proceed to the figurative language. So we have here metaphor. Example is lipstick coated gold rolled voice. So it compares voice to a cigarette holder. And aside from that, we have West Africa sepia. The speaker compare his skin to West African sepia. Yeah, so that is a metaphor. Next, we have a simile. Example is like plain or milk chocolate. Comparing skin tones. So next, it also uses hyperbole. For example is my bottom is raven black. So the speaker exaggeratedly compare his bottom as a raven black or extremely black. Next, we have that personification. Example is silence came. So it shows silence acting like a person. Next, we have a pun. So here example, hide and speak. So it means play on a hide and seek. So that is example of figurative language. Now let's proceed to the form, meter, and rhyme scheme. So the form of the story is simply a free verse. So no strict pattern, as you can see. To have a conversational and natural like or a real phone call. And it has single stanza with 35 lines. So unlike to other poems that was divided by stanza by stanza, but for it has only one stanza. So single stanza. Now let's proceed to meter. Because it is a free verse, so there is no regular meter at all. Next, let's have the rhyme scheme. So because it is free verse and there's no meter, so it means there's no rhyme scheme. So the unpredictability mirrors the uncomfortable tense conversation. Okay, now let's have a quick description about the speaker. So the speaker is a named African. He must be likely Nigerian or like Wole Soyinka. He might be educated, witty, and sarcastic because the way he answered the landlady, it's really evident that he is a little bit clever and witty. So he represents the black immigrants living in the West society. So that is the representation of the speaker. Next, let's describe its setting. So it might be likely in England in 1960. Because of this imagery, the red booth, ballot box, and double-decker bus. So the conversation happened inside a public telephone booth. So that is the setting. And in summary, so this poem, it's all about an African speaker who just looking for a place to rent. However, he interacts with such narrow-headed landlady who really value skin color rather than the person character. So the poem exposes racism by using humor, satire, and sharp dialogue. So that's all for my part. So if you want to learn more and to have a deeper analysis about the poem, you can search it, or you can tap the link I put below in the summary. Okay, so that's all. Thank you. Once again, I am GNMA Piapyag.